Hey everyone, my name is Matt. Welcome to my baby's nursery. Today is June 29th and this is my weekly shop update. So another pretty exciting week, mostly because of this finished project here, which is the changing table, which we'll get to in a second. I think I'll do that last. This room is really small, so I have two cameras going right now. I've got the DSLR and the little action cam. So the action cam has a nice wide angle, and then the DSLR doesn't really have that wide angle, so with this shot, I can get through a few of the other updates here first. So the first thing I'll touch on is the Bassinet. And actually, let me get this changing pad. Get this changing pad out of here. Now let's use this. So today I spent some time and I worked on the two side assemblies. I got them finalized, I got them glued up and ready to go. And this is just one of them. I left the other one down in the shop. But I got the rocker all finalized so it rocks. Well, it will rock when there's another side to it. And I made these really cool panels here. I used one solid board for this. And if you were watching my live streaming session thing, I was talking about either doing a glue up or using one of those wider boards that I had outside. And I ended up using a wide board that I had inside the house actually, or in the basement in my lumber area. Sort of an oddball piece of wood. It was wide on one end and kind of narrow at the other, so I used 4 feet of that board to make these two panels, and that's a trapezoid, right? I think it's a trapezoid. Geometry, pretty sure it's a trapezoid. So I got those all set up, I got these all glued together, and I'm working on the rails that connect them together now. So here are the two tenons for the lower rails that will support the mattress, and then I still have to cut in the mortises for the top rails that come out here that also connect the two sides together. And I decided to cut these after I assembled everything because the mortises or the tenons from the rail is actually going to intersect the tenon of this rail here. So I wanted to have them assembled first, so that way when I went and I made my mortise, I'd be mortising into the already glued up joint, and it'd be kind of more like a solid thing instead of having to kind of make them go between each other or whatever. But I probably will still create an offset in my tenon, so I'll probably have a tenon that has one little stub and then the longer piece that'll go all the way through this tenon here and lock it all together. And the location here is really simple for me to get to still. It's right off the edge here, so I can still actually make my mortise really easily. So I grabbed a couple of I've got the two rail pieces that actually fit. This is 2. So you can kind of see what that's going to be like. So there's that. So again, there'll be this rail and then another rail over here, and then the two top rails, which will create an angle here. So my spindles will have to be at an angle to this face and then to the underside of the top rail. So that should be fun, and there's going to be, I think it was 20 spindles, and those are just going to be round stock. There'll be dowels, 1/2-inch round dowels that I'll be making myself with my dowel plate. So that should go pretty quickly when I get around to that. And the other thing I'll be working on this week is the crib, because I need that too. So I'll be finishing up this bassinet, which I should finish up tomorrow, or be ready for finish tomorrow, and then I can start on the crib as well. The other thing I finished up this week is all the flooring. I got all of that run, and it's ready to go. It's ready to be installed, and it's just sitting there, just waiting to go. So I guess you can see this side. So this week I ran all the relief cuts on the bottom, and that took a long time. I'm pretty sure that if I was doing this all at once and I didn't give my table saw a break between operations, it would probably have died already, because it was a lot of work for it. It's definitely not made for this kind of work. So that was interesting. Every time it would start bogging down, I'd open it up and it'd be full of sawdust, and like actually full, like completely full. And I could tell that was happening because it would start shooting shavings up at me because it was just full. So the motor was sitting in there just totally packed full of sawdust, and a nice little insulation blanket of shavings. So every I think every 10 or 12 boards, I had to stop, open the table saw cabinet, and empty it all out because it was just full of sawdust. And I didn't want to kill my table saw because I didn't really need that problem. Alright, so how about the changing table? This thing came together really nicely, and I'm really, really happy with the way it turned out. The book matching turned out just amazing. I'm so happy with it. It looks really cool. The thing about book matching is when you book match something and you open it up, you have opposing grain directions. And on one side, the grain is going to be running in one direction, and on the other side, it'll be running in the other direction. And what that's going to do is, especially in areas of figure, is it's going to reflect the light differently back at you depending on which way you're looking at it. So me looking at this top right now, it's really light on this side and really dark on this side because of the way the grain is oriented. So that's kind of the problem you kind of run into when you're doing book matching, is it's going to look a little different from the left and the right. But overall, it looks really good. For whatever reason, the boards just worked out really well. The grain direction reflects the light in a really even pattern from the left and the right side. So that's just awesome. I love this thing. The drawers, they turned out really nicely, and they operate really well. I know I had a few people on Instagram ask me about the tolerances that I did on these drawers, and on the top here I have not quite a 1/16 of a gap, and that's for the expansion in the drawer front, which I don't expect much expansion since it's June right now, or late June, and it's getting close to as humid as it's going to be here. So I'm going to see maybe a little bit of expansion, maybe a 64th or a 64th or a 32nd at the most, and then I'm going to see at most probably another 1/16 of shrinkage from there. So that should be plenty of gap. And on the two outsides, I have maybe, it's probably close to a 64th or something like that. It's nice and tight. You don't have much. There's pretty much no side-to-side play towards the front of the drawer there. And on the bottom, I have roughly the same as the sides, or the gap on the sides. And that operates really nicely. Now for the drawer bottoms, I ended up using some offcuts of that ash that I had for making the flooring. I had so many like 2-inch wide strips that I just glued a bunch of those together to make my drawer bottoms, and that worked out really well because you don't see them, so you don't need to have one big solid piece of wood anyway. So it worked out really well. So this week I'll be working on the build video for this. I already started that last night. I went through and I started working through the footage, and it looks really good, and that's going to be a good video because there's a lot of interesting joinery going on in here, because you got the half blinds on the top, and you got the sliding dovetails, and you got the blind dados and all that fun stuff. So a lot of good joinery here. I'm going to split this one up into a 2-part series, one on just the casework, doing all the joinery, and then the second part will be on the assembly, the finish, and making the drawers. So look for that in the next couple of weeks, I guess this week and probably next week. That's all I got for this week. Thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments about anything I talked about today or anything here in my shop, please feel free to leave me a comment. As always, I appreciate those, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And if you want to see some pictures of the changing table, I put up a bunch of pictures on my website today, so I'll leave a link to that in the description as well, so you can check out all those fun pictures. Or if you were on Reddit, or if you're on Lumberjacks, or if you're on Facebook, you probably saw them already. But that's it. Until next time, happy woodworking.